Can you hurry up? For the love of God.
Ring, ring, ring.
Get your hand out of my face.
Silence. Ring, ring, ring.
Silence.
Ring, ring, ring. Hello, simps and merchants. And welcome back to Krown's magical dancing.
Oh my God, what the fuck was that? That was weak. Get out of my face for real. Anyways, I need to put on the actual charts over here. My apologies on that. Where's my damn layout over here? Apologies. It is going to be a bit of a difficult morning. There she is. Found it. Fucking nice, man. Fucking nice indeed. And we're back, man. We're back with some live streams. So I actually was thinking, because the markets have been slowing down a bit, that I was going to slow down in the live streams, maybe do it like 3 times a week rather than 5 times a week, simply because it's easier to get all my thoughts out in a nice and hopefully mostly coherent way when it's just a dialed in singular video. But hey, I'll field some of the opinion of the people here as well. And also, speaking of sentiment, speaking of opinions in general, I'm curious what people are, or what the community here is, like you, if you're listening to this, what do you feel is the sort of running narrative in the market right now? What's like the general feeling within this market right now? Is the market more on the bullish side, more on the bearish side, as far as sentiment goes? Specifically sentiment, not your thoughts on where price action goes, but sentiment. Where is the crowd essentially thinking? Because it's very difficult for me to kind of gauge it, because when I peruse around Twitter, when I peruse around YouTube, it's like it's always bullish. It always seems like it's bullish, which makes it so fucking difficult. But I do understand that there's definitely some bearish sentiment out there as well. I know that I would assume so, at least I'd assume so. But when I was perusing Twitter this morning, I just saw a bunch of charts that were basically kind of saying that this is going to be the macro low. Fair enough. There could be good reason for that, but I'm simply just going off of sentiment right now, because I am curious what the general sort of consensus is, as it's been very difficult for me to track, and I'm also curious, what do people use to actually track it as well? Anyways, if we are dysfunctional like Congress, there you go. Crazy shit, man. I'm just going to read a few of the comments over here, because I do think that, let's get some community involvement. See, Crypto Mo, or is it Crypto Moo or Crypto Mo? Crypto Moo? Crypto Moo says, I think there's a lot of bear sentiment right now. People are increasingly risk off. It feels like the world is more dangerous and risky. Yeah, I mean, of course, with the geopolitical situation going on right now, not just the Fed situation, like what I'm talking about with with the Fed tightening and everything. But World War III potentially going on. To reference the actual title of this video, obviously, if something truly were to come out of that, which who knows what actually does come out of it, there's no way for someone like me to know, and unless if you're kind of an insider in that sort of realm, or a real professional with a qualified opinion, I was actually having a really, really good conversation with someone yesterday about that. Mr. Coop, if he's here right now, don't know if he is, don't know where he is, but you can't really make an assumption based off it. It's just too difficult to get like real information, right? It's who do you trust? Who do you trust is kind of my main complaint with going off of that. But what I can say from my experiences, in trading these sort of events, is that if something truly were to come out of it, very, 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 very likely the first response from the markets is going to be an initial dump, kind of similar to the Rona times from a couple of years ago. And then after that, if the markets want to, if it is kind of like a truly risk off asset, then you'll probably see some of your favorite things rally up. I'd imagine that's where Bitcoin would get its chance potentially to shine as a risk off asset, if it really is going to lean into that narrative. But for right now, it is only a risk on asset. It's also a growth asset as well. And not doing all that well, alongside most major markets. In fact, if we actually even do look at the general markets, if we look at SPY, NASDAQ, and all the individualistic stocks, most of them have been in a bear market for like a year now. So it's very deceiving to look at just the major indices, because it's kind of like looking at box scores at the end of like a sports game, in the sense that you don't really understand what's actually going on underneath, and that is in a lot of ways more important. However, I'm just going to read through a few more of the comments over here. I see Mr. Nimbo. What's up, Mr. Nimbo? Gabor, good morning to you. Big Boy George, good morning to you as well. Nick A says flu dump too. Yeah, that's essentially what I'd be looking for as a first response if something truly significant happened from this situation. So when I say truly significant, that means like basically the United States and its allies getting involved versus Russia and its allies. That would very likely be an initial first major dumbola party. At that point, very likely going to see low $30,000 territory, maybe even lower, or probably even lower than that. From there, and then after the dust kind of settles, that's when I'd be expecting, something that could actually, emerge from that, of course. But the initial response, very likely, extremely likely, is going to be a very nasty dump, regardless of whether Bitcoin truly is a risk-off asset or not. Anyways, I'm just reading some of these Ken Pham says feels like the beginning of the end. Well, I do understand those sentiments, absolutely, but at the same time, how many times in our lifetime, assuming that you're probably in your 30s like myself, or anywhere around there realistically, how many times in our lifetime have we come to a close situation where the media kind of makes it sound like it's going to be a really big deal, and then nothing really comes out of it? The problem, obviously, with a situation like this is that there is mutually assured destruction. And holy shit, man, there was a statement by Putin about a week and a half ago maybe, that my friend told me about yesterday that completely it didn't get picked up or something, but that was probably the scariest thing that I've ever heard. And it went something like this. Putin was basically saying that, hey, we know that we can't compete with the United States and its allies on economic levels or even military levels, but we do have nukes. It basically boiled down to that. And I don't know how this went by the wayside, but you look at a guy like that who's probably I'm guessing he's near the end of his life. I don't know, man. Is he crazy enough to press the fucking red button? Maybe. Who knows? That would certainly scare me. Obviously, living close to Russia, wouldn't be great. So Faraz is here. Wait, what's up, Mr. Faraz? There he is. Miss you, brother. And just looking at a few more of these comments here before we get into the content. I do see Stalix here. It says Nathan Rothschild, buying the sound of cannons, selling the sound of trumpets. Yeah, I mean there would be some validity to that, especially if you're kind of referencing obviously history. I mean that has been the general sort of trend. But again, it's how far down do things come off of that initial response? Obviously, $29,000 or $30,000 would be kind of my first area of interest. Below there, as we've been going over, somewhere between about $23,000 to $25,000, kind of where I'd be looking for as a potential, kind of spike low in a very highly volatile event, and then come back up from there. But that's just the problem with analysis right now. We're going to go through the charts in just a second here, but unfortunately, if something like that does get announced, or not announced, but if something like that does transpire, the short-term time frame is just going to go out the window, and I look at the higher-term time frames kind of generate where I might have an edge in a situation like that. But just like in March 2020, things just get blown through like you couldn't even believe. I mean, price just teleports essentially. It teleports, another 10% in about a minute or so, which is obviously not going to be very kind to the short-term time frames. I mean, shit, you might think that you're marketing into a position one way or the other, and you'll get filled, percents off the book right there, which is not any way to make any legitimate trading decisions in my experience. Anyways, okay, cool. So let's get into it right now. I want to welcome everyone back. Holy shit, man, we already got 1,000 people watching, 279 likes on the video as well. That's a good start, man. It's a good start indeed. And on the Krown trading application over here, there's a lot of very pertinent information. We're going to swing back into this when it is relevant to the analysis. As always, I want to let people know that the premium features are live, and you can find out more about them in the Learn More tab over here. And of course, yeah, the Jewel Light does... What?
It's not the same as trading.
It's also not the same thing as TradingView Premium. These are two separate products, obviously. We have nothing to do with TradingView. We just use it. Anyways, let's get in the charts over here. Let's follow up on the short-term timeframes first and foremost, of which we're going to start off on a 4-hour right now. And Bitcoin coming off that 618 Fibonacci retracement target that we had coming in from the break of about $41,000 or $41,500, which was, I guess, about almost a week ago now. Yeah, so there's a 618 right there. I actually want to get rid of this one for the time being. It will be relevant, but not at this particular moment. And more importantly, I just want to speak about how these moves typically do occur and what to kind of expect from them, because there's a really good conversation in the Discord about I think this was like 2-3 days ago. Mr. Me and Mark B were actually talking about this one, and he was expressing doubt that the 618 was going to hold on that first pass that we did see back down around, I guess this was a day and a half ago, on that move down. And here's the thing, when you are looking at a level like this, you can't really judge it in the same hourly, let alone even the same day in this case. But when we do look at the daily closures, you can see very obviously that it is getting picked up for right now. So now I am looking for the response from that, and essentially what I like to do in these situations, if I can just pull this back so that it's, you know, not too much in our way and we can actually see, but what I like to do is I like to take a bearish retracement in this case, because obviously it is a short-term downtrend, or all the way up to medium term, or basically all the way up to all time frames almost now. But what I'll do now is I'll take a bearish retracement from the high to the low of this current move that we've seen. So that would be a high of about 45 or a little bit above 45 to a low of about 36,300 or so. And you can see right here, in line with my little LARP lines, that we do see the 0.5 and the 618 kind of stationed between about 41,000 and about a little bit above 42,000 bucks right there. So that is not necessarily a target for this. I look at that as a bit of a bias buster, and I do play Bitcoin as well a downside asset as long as we're especially below these regions. Here's what I would expect though. At some point, probably in the next week, we do see a bounce somewhere around the 382, or you know, maybe a little bit below there, but very, very likely somewhere around there. And then the real question is, does Bitcoin reject from there or not? If it does, that's at the point where I really do expect this to be the next trend down, not just to our current lows at $35,000, but probably lower than that over time, coming into the month of March, as we do have a pretty nasty setup on the monthly specifically. Until then, I would still highlight the 618 retracement right here as an early indication that if Bitcoin gets back above about $42,000 or so, that would be I wouldn't say like bear market. It's certainly not bear market over, but I'd be looking for a much more extensive move to the upside and a nice medium-term time frame bear trap emerging from there. Full confirmation still above $45,000. That level incredibly important, as we did discuss in the past couple weeks here, and still Bitcoin did not close a single 4-hour above there. But if Bitcoin does, then I am looking towards the low $50,000 territory. Yes, there will be stops along the way, but that is kind of significance of that level 4 right now. In this case right here though, you know, short term, Bitcoin's likely to play a bit more sideways. You know, I do see a few things over here on the very short term timeframes, like the hourly and the 4-hour, of which we are kind of setting up for, you know, maybe one more move back down just to shallow 37s or upper 36s or so. But I do think that you are going to be looking for a bounce from this region, regardless of whether you're bullish or bearish. And then the real question is, where does Bitcoin get that next rejection, if it gets a rejection at all? If it happens anywhere below 42, then obviously, you know, have to be looking downside with just the reasonable targets in mind. But if it does happen below, especially $40,000, that 382, I look at that as a strong trending movement, and very likely coming down to retest our late January lows at about 35. Probably another bounce there on the short-term timeframes, and then that very likely does set it up for a meltdown to at least macro range lows in March, in whatever the month is that comes after March. Anyways, in this case right here on the hourly, we do have a little bit of structure going on, so I do think that it is compelling to mark it off here on the short-term timeframes, meaning that if Bitcoin does close an hourly back above this region right here, 38,450 or 38,500, if you want to make it a nice round even number, I would be looking for Bitcoin to initiate rallies first up into the, you know, around $40,000 territory. Also, you can see the hourly 200 simple starting to swing back around there as well. Before coming back down and swiping the lows. So that would be my sort of bias buster in this case, or validation for a move like that in this case. Until then, I do think it's a little bit more likely to probably swing back down around 37 and try for another bounce there. But ultimately, you know, that 618 on the retracement that we did look at earlier, that's still where I'm kind of essentially looking for bounces in this case. Anyways, to call it out, I don't know if it accounts for that much, but we do have hourly hidden bullish divergence, so you know that it's going to the moon. But we do have, you know, basically a general downside setup as long as the 38,500-ish region is still rejecting. 4-hour, kind of same thing here as well. 4-hour Joule did get the low pretty damn well in this case. I just wanted to kind of highlight that for the people who are actually using it, because that is, because why not, man? Anyways, let's go over here and check out stochastic momentum as well in the short-term timeframes, and then we'll start to swing into the medium and higher-term timeframes. But here we can see on the 4-hour that stochastic momentum will actually turn down with any sort of a closure below 37,200. So for right now, you know, is staying nice and healthily to the upside. Obviously, 6-hour is going to be there as well. Is going to be actually quite vertical here above 36,650, so that is good. And then the 12-hour is also fresh especially up above 36,850. So again, whether Bitcoin comes back down and tags around maybe like 37, give or take a few $100, I do think that we are looking for a general bounce from this region first, and then if there's a rejection at around 40ish or especially below 40, that would be quite ugly, and very likely does imply another move down to 35 or below there into March. If Bitcoin starts to take out $40,000, that's going to be the first sense of hopium, but certainly nothing confirmed. My first major area for kind of confirming a bit of hopium would be, of course, above $42,000 or so. But again, I do want to highlight this right here. These are corrective signals on these momentum oscillators, especially stochastic momentum, as you can see right here, with volatility already high and looking for a contraction phase, which I think the 12-hour, yes, is already below the moving average on this. I am looking at any sort of upside signals on these timeframes as corrective first and foremost. So that is why, or that alongside trend is why, I do express a lot of caution below $40,000, especially. Of course, that could even mean a $2,000 rally from where we're at right now. But of course, that a corrective rally within the context of a downtrend obviously does imply further downside, continuation of trend, if you will. Anyways, let's go through. Actually, I didn't even check out the very low term timeframes over here. I imagine they're probably flippy floppy. Buy hourly is going to turn down below about 37.8, which Bitcoin $100 above right now. Hourly is going to flip back up above 38.2, and 3 hour, which I didn't check as well, is what the fuck is that sound? What is that sound? Hey, what's that sound? Go figure out. Oh, you have the washing machine on. Okay, I see. And then 3 hour will turn down below about 37.5 or so. So I suppose that, looking at those pivots, it actually does look like Bitcoin might actually confirm above that short-term time frame range highs in this case. But again, I'd still be looking about 38.5. And then yes, probably does get continuation to mid 39s or maybe even $40,000. Then come back to it after that. That's a weird noise that it's making right there. It's very bizarre. It's very, very bizarre. Hey, we'll get to that a little bit later, Mr. Kachajan. Anyways, so that's it for the lower term timeframes right here. If we go into the daily, do I have anything to say about this? Not really. That already hasn't been said. 2-day and then the 5-day are closing today. 2-day is, yes, and then the 5-day is not. Sorry, the 5-day is tomorrow. There is one thing that is very specific to the 5-day right now that if it does happen, I'd be looking for a big move down to likely macro range lows in the next few weeks, and that would be this. If we go over here to the 5-day time frame, we will see that 5-day stochastic momentum will turn down with any sort of a closure below 36,250. Obviously, Bitcoin's well above that right now, but coming into tomorrow's closure for the daily and also 5-day, if that condition is met, I'd be looking for the open of March to be pretty nasty, to be quite honest with you. So anyways, I do want to record this next segment on it. I want to record kind of like, I guess the more bearish things that I can find for right now. Anyways, or do I want to record this? You know what? No, I won't record it for right now. We don't need that actually. Of course, if we do go back on over here, well, no, I think we've already got this as well. So ultimately, I do now want to thread this into what we see over here on the Krown trading application. Of course, you can, as always, get this for free in the link in the description below. Global open interest did come down to our $10 billion marker, and we did initiate a bounce from that region. That was your bounce from about 36,300 low to kind of where we're at right now, which is almost or a little bit. I think we did get about a $2,000 bounce. I think that it can get a little bit more as well. But here's the thing, and what I'd actually be putting some interest on going from here now is I want to have another alert, which I can do over here, and I want to have another alert that happens if open interest is actually below about 9 billion. I'd kind of be looking at that as another area of interest if we do come back down around there for not necessarily an immediate bounce, but I want to see somewhere between about 8 and 9 on the next move down if we do get another move down. So I will actually put that in. Obviously, this one already triggered, and that was kind of leading into the bounce that we're seeing right now, which is one of the reasons why I value this information so much. On top of that, funny rates are actually staying negative here. They've been consistently they've been mostly negative for the past few days or so, after printing some positive rates at about the $45,000 region. Again, these are very, 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 very minimal, so it's kind of like it's kind of like really cutting hair or trying to split hairs in this case. But it would suggest a little bit more likely to go to the upside than the downside in this case. But at the same time, I think that range resolutions are going to hold a lot more weight in this particular case. Now, to answer the question about sentiment, or I suppose from an indicator perspective, we can look at the fear and greed index. We can obviously see that the market is once again in extreme fearful zones at a 20 read right now. This is kind of consistent with what we saw in the last major low, actually, from late January. But ultimately, until we actually see price action clear above those critical regions that we spoke about, I mean, we do expect the market to be fearful when the market is obviously down in this case. So I just want to be very defensive against any sort of, any sort of like an oddball situation that we might be dealing with in the geopolitical sphere. So that's kind of why I'm really holding back on my own analysis, because it's the higher term timeframes that are really going to be the more trustworthy in this case. Anyways, other than that, I do think that we can potentially. Oh my God! Okay, that is insanely loud. I wonder if you guys can hear that. By the way, that is just ridiculous. The laundry machine is having like some sort of an issue. Anyways, I think we can maybe get into some comments right now. Oh, if I didn't leave the door open like a mongoloid. Very clever. Very clever. Where did you learn that one, you fuckface? Anyways, I think we can start off with Mr. Ricky O today. Welcome back. Let's do Ethereum monthly, weekly, daily. Sure, man. Yeah. Let me pull up Ethereum over here. I'm curious if I have a chart for this one or not. Yeah, I do have a chart for this one, and it's not good. It's not fucking good. Okay, there we go. Kevin says, every macro market crashes and then crypto super pumps. Sounds like a lot of hopium to me, man. Probably not. If the rest of the world markets go down, crypto probably goes down with it, man. Have to understand that the same people who are actually moving this market are moving all markets at this point. All right, cool. Let's record this one. Here we have oh, bastard. My damn derp thing doesn't work. Hold on, let me just pull it up over here. Let's give this one more go, huh? Here we have Ethereum versus the dollar, and we're going to be looking at some pretty damn high time frames for Mr. Ricky Yo, looking at the monthly, weekly, and daily. Starting off with the monthly over here, coming into the end of February and into March, obviously, we do see that the 2,100 region is going to be a big area of, well, fraught with peril, I'd say, in this case. And I do believe at some point very likely do test down around there, whether it be this month, near the end of this month of February, or into March. I don't really have a strong opinion on, but ultimately that is your next big region. Because below there is where things start to look a lot more dire for the long term, probably down to like 1,300 to 1,500 or so. Anyways, for right now, let's see if we can find anything on the daily that is relevant, and then we can put together a more long-term picture for this asset. But Ethereum on the daily, very, very similar to Bitcoin in this case. A little bit weaker than Bitcoin, I suppose, if you are making like a relative analysis between the two. But ultimately, where to be looking at right here for a bit of a reversal and something that would actually mean something for price action. It's no more complicated than this at this point. Anything below 3,200 is just another lower high. In fact, I'd go as far as saying that as long as you're below about 3,000, there's nothing really bullish about this, even though short term probably does bounce a little bit more from here. Let's actually see what a 4 hour looks like right now. That's still being held below, to be fair, but ultimately, I do think that short-term timeframes, can very easily bounce back up somewhere around about 28, maybe even 29 or so. But again, very, very specifically here, as long as we're below about 3,000, I do look at this as well, just trend down on all higher-term timeframes that actually do matter. Speaking of the weekly. Weekly is, again, not great, below about 3,000. Above 3,000 is where it's starts to really change my opinion on this. I'm sure that some people are drawing this, well, as always, as something bullish, which would be something like this, I suppose. I guess you do have a bit of that hopium in there for right now, but of course, that hopium is not in any way, shape, or form validated, at least in my opinion, as long as you're below about 3,000 on a weekly closing basis. So that'd be my kind of line in the sand for this one. If you do start to close back above there, then I actually would be looking for quite the rally. In fact, in this case, I'd probably be looking for a rally somewhere around about 35, maybe even 3,800. But for right now, do have to kind of be aware of the general situation going on in the world. Let's go see what stochastic momentum has to say about this as well. I imagine the daily is in a similar posturing as Bitcoin, of which, yes, indeed it is. Daily stochastic momentum will turn to the upside with any sort of a closure today above 26.16. Right now, you're trading about 50 bucks above that level right now. So ultimately, that plus the weekly turning at the same time, I'm looking probably more for a bounce from this region first and foremost. Anything below 3,000 bucks is fair game. Above 3,000 bucks is where things start to turn around, and at that point I would be looking for a rally first into the mid and upper 3,000s before anything else. However, coming into the end of the month here, do have to be aware of the monthly, of which the monthly is going to see downside momentum as long as Ethereum, almost said Bitcoin right there, closes below about 37.30. So we have about 5 days left in the trading month to go. Yeah, 5 days left in the month of February. So assuming no closure above there, not only is this going to be crossing to the downside for the first time in a while, but also it'll be losing the bullish control zone, which is, not going to be, bullish as the name would imply. And then also over here at that point, I'd probably be looking for a test down to the monthly 20 simple coming into March, maybe April, depending upon how things go. But that would be the low $2,000 region. And any sort of a break below there long term, I'm probably looking down towards the low 1000s actually. So until then, I guess I would give it a chance until end of month here, because I do think that things are going to generally rally into the end of the month. However, if it does fail to get back above specifically about 3000 on a higher term time frame closing basis, I do look at this as just another lower high and a series of lower highs. Which fair enough, but for right now, yeah, it might be your first higher low right there, and rallies up to like 28 to 2900 are certainly fair game for the interim. So hopefully that was helpful, and there you go for Ethereum on the long term, sir. Anyways, whoa, some coffee coming up right there. Let's see. I think that we have Mr. Stefan Milicevic next. Says, welcome back, sir. Hey, man, it's good to be back. Life feels normal again. Somewhat so. Yes, indeed. Can you do AVAX, Luna, if done? Yeah, we can do AVAX for sure, man. Let's see. Let me plop it in over here. AVAX is something that I've been watching. I have like shorts on all of these major coins, actually, going back a few weeks now, basically from the time that I left for Dubai. Anyways, 4-hour daily and weekly. Yeah, we can check this one out. Again, yeah, another one that's kind of bouncing over here. Looks like that move played out. I guess that was like the last time we looked at it. Same thing over here. Let's actually record this one as well. Here we have Avalanche, symbol AVAX versus the dollar, and very similar to Ethereum, very similar to Bitcoin, very likely to rally out of this region. This one's actually acting a bit more relatively strong to give it its due diligence, of which, very much deserved in this case. I guess the last time I looked at this one was like the last week of January before I left for Dubai for a couple weeks. So it's actually very interesting to see this one from now. We also do see that hidden bullish divergence is about to confirm with any sort of a closure here or higher by end of day. That will have technical targets into the next few days, somewhere around low 80s, that being about $80 to $82 or so. And just like Ethereum and just like Bitcoin, I do I do find it difficult to get bullish on this one long term until a few things are met. At minimum, I need to see a daily closure above $87. At that point, it's kind of like Bitcoin above 42. I do look at that as a potential major bear trap situation, and full on confirmation is back above about 96 and a quarter. If those two things happen, or especially if the second one happens, I would be looking for big moves up somewhere around 115, maybe even 120 in, I guess, March. Yeah, March. Let's go see what stochastic momentum has to say about that as well. Just out of curiosity over here, and then we can go down to the lower term timeframes, which I believe you asked for. Let's see what the daily looks like. Daily will turn up with any sort of a closure above 82 and a quarter. Probably doesn't happen today, but coming into tomorrow, we very likely will be testing this trend line right around the edge of the critical zone, and that number will very likely come down as well, which might make it a little more attainable. So we'll have to check on this one tomorrow, but for right now, there is a bit of a setup there for a bit of a corrective rally in order. Again, anywhere into like the low 80s, I think is kind of fair game. 4-hour time frame, same thing over here. I'm generally looking for a move somewhere right around about $80 or so. Again, however, I do think that it is important to define this move as likely a corrective move first and foremost until proven otherwise. We do see that BBWP is coming off of extremes right there, and when I see it go into a contraction phase alongside momentum oscillators generally pointed to the north side, I'm looking for a correction, which in the context of the downtrend means a bounce, and bounce targets, would be one here at about 77. Don't think that things are necessarily going to stop here. And then 2 would be about like $80 to $81 or so. So that's kind of where I'm looking for. Things don't really change for me. Like I said, again, until you're at minimum back above about 87, and full on confirmation would be back above about 96 and a quarter. Until then, short-term bouncy. However, long-term, at the whims of the rest of the market, I suppose, is going to be the way to relate that idea. Weekly is not so horrible here, actually. In fact, it's a weird looking chart, to be honest with you, but it's certainly not as bad as some of the other charts that we've already seen today. Monthly, a little bit more little bit less confidence inducing, but you know what? We won't talk about that because you didn't ask about that. So I'm just going to leave it. Unjudged right there. Anyways, big, humongous, massive, huge fucking problems below about 65.5 bucks. If that trigger is met, I'm looking for big moves down to 50, maybe even lower than that over time in the month of March or whatever comes after that month. Anyways, hopefully that was helpful. And there you go for AVAX, sir. I think we got Hot Pocket next. What's up, man? I've been busy shorting SPY into the dirt. Do you think we see 400 anytime soon on daily and weekly time frame? Okay, let's see. I'm going to bring up SPY futures over here and let's plop it in. And do I think that we see, you mean, okay, yeah. Sorry, I just have to do the conversion in my mind. But yeah, 4,300, you mean like 4,000 essentially. Do I think that we see that anytime soon? Well, define soon. Daily and weekly time frame. Okay, so you're looking like probably a month or two out. I guess the real question is, do we bounce here first or not? I do think that you are going to generally bounce here first into the end of the month. And then if it is going to happen, probably going to be late March, early the month after that. April? Is April after that? I don't know. But yeah, I would be looking between about 4,000 and 4,100. So that'd be like, well, you can do the conversion for yourself. Well, that's a hell of a chart right there. That is a fucking hell of a chart, man. Wow. Every time I look at this thing, man, just insane. Yeah, you do have that drive of bearish divergence come off the highs right there, and that actually is a part of a 1-2-3 drive coming off the highs from actually years ago in this case. And again, it would technically be a corrective move first and foremost here, but this one can come down like I said, somewhere around about basically 40-50 or so, which I think is probably around your targets. It looks like. Anytime soon, I'd say probably soonest is going to be like middle of March or so. I don't know if that's soon for you or not. What's up, Capo Tico? Nice to have you back on the stream, sir. It's good to be back, sir. It's very good to be back. Hope Dubai was relaxing. It certainly was. It was very relaxing. Also, man, it really makes me realize that maybe being in snow for too long is not the best way to be living life. So I'm looking for second residencies so that we can move ourselves there. Was wondering 4-hour and daily on Near. Okay, so this is Near Protocol. This is another one of them highly esteemed altcoins that was actually doing pretty well last month, or I think it was last month, or was it the month before that? Yeah, not looking. What was it? Was that a monthly? Not looking too hot on the monthly. What about a weekly? Same thing, probably a little bit more in a short-term bouncy region, but long-term probably does have more downside. Looking at a daily, week, looking at a 4-hour, short-term, I think best it does to the upside is like $10 or so. Ultimately, though, I do think that you see lower. I do think that you see lower into the month of March, if that's the real question. Probably somewhere down around about 6 3/4 to 6.5, or sorry, 6 3/4 to about 6 even or so. So I'd be looking for it until like March, April or so. Anyways, if you're on a 4-hour, where would I say that things change around short term? That would be back above about $10 on a 4-hour closure. I'd be looking for a greater rally up somewhere around 11 to 11 1/4, but it doesn't really do anything for the higher term timeframes. I do think that this one has seen better days for a while. And I do think that you're going to be generally working your way sideways and down into March and April, into like the mid to low 6s. The only way I'd really change that around is if you get a daily above $14. Above $14, yeah, things start to change around. But until then, all rallies are lower highs, below especially about 11.5. So hopefully that was helpful. Probably shitting on some hopes and dreams right there, but it had its run, man. It had its run. So fair enough. Fair enough. Anyways, let's see. We have Mr. C. He says, do you think Bitcoin sees 50,000 before it sees anything in the 20s, all things considered? Man, that, no, something in the anything in the 20s. Okay. So just even like 29,99999. That's a really difficult question. I mean, I think Bitcoin's going to rally, but does it get all the way up to like 50,000? That's kind of asking for a lot from right now. Here's what I would say. I'd divide. I know you want like a straight answer, but I'll just divide this into ranges in this case. Look, above about $44,500 or $45,000 on a 4-hour. You very likely see a $50,000 before anything in the 20s. As you said, anywhere below 35 on a daily closure, you very likely see something into the 20s before anything around 30s. Until then, I look at this as a trading range. Yes, it is more downside angled. Yes, short term, I do think that Bitcoin rallies, but as long as you're below 42, I mean, there's no threat of any like major extension move to the upside. So that's kind of my line in the sand. If you're asking my personal opinion, I do think that Bitcoin's generally more likely to trade sideways and down from here into into like March, April. But at the end of the day, man, that's not how I trade myself, man. I like, you're in the program, you know how I trade. It's very, very simple stuff, man. I don't really care about the direction of the asset, to be honest with you. All I care about is just setups. That's all I care about. So in that case, actually, no, I don't know if you're in the program. I thought that I was talking to Kappa, but yeah, I don't know. There's no way for me to know, man. I think a healthy amount of I don't know is the proper response in this case. I would divide it into ranges. Above about 42, that's where I'd say the probabilities are starting to increase a lot. Above 45, I would be very strong on the side of looking at 50,000 before anything in the 20s, maybe even not even 20s ever. I would, maybe not ever, but unlikely. That'd be like quite a shift in direction and structure. But below about 35, that's where I think that the probabilities of getting into the 20s are going to be extreme. And 50,000 probably doesn't get looked at anytime soon. So yeah. All right, cool. Nick Haslam's next, says GTC USD, please, mate. No time frames given. Holy shit. Let's see. So we got a shitcoin, or no, we have amazing Gitcoin. It's not shitcoin, it's Gitcoin. Where is it? The life of a shitcoin. It's not great. It's really not great, man. Heavily bearish below $10. I do think that you can see corrective rallies easily to $7.5 to $8, but that means nothing for long term. This is not good. Generally speaking, I think that you're going to see much lower in the next few months. I don't really even have targets for the downside because this thing has not that much history here, but I generally would be looking sideways and down. Short-term rallies up to $7.5, maybe $9 is fair game, but I'm heavily bearish on this thing below $10. Heavily bearish. Very, very ugly. It's going to require, look, even if Bitcoin moves to the upside and drags the rest of the market with it, I think that this one just puts in lower highs very likely along the way. I only change my mind above $10, and then yeah, I guess it'd be good, and you could probably look for moves back up towards your deep teens, but not anytime soon, man, or at least as far as my opinion goes. HFIFM, what's up, man? Harmony 1 daily weekly, nice. Okay, so symbol 1, see where this one's at. I haven't looked at this one basically since the last live stream or whenever that's last. Yeah, not great over here, man. A lot of them just losing long-term structure, which is not good, obviously. This one even actually closed below the green 55 on the weekly as of last week to open up this one. Let's see what the monthly looks like. Monthly, I do think that you're generally around a bouncy area, so probably does try to bounce maybe into March, somewhere around about 12 cents or so, but do not confuse bounce with reversal. I don't think that, I think that this one's seen its highs for a long time, but you're looking at a daily and a weekly, so let's go back on over here and let's just see. Short term, do I think that this thing could rally towards 15, 16 cents? It definitely could, but I'm heavily bearish on this one, just like I'd be heavily bearish on the last one, as long as you're below about 22 cents in this case. This one has very little things going for it as of right now. Let's see, maybe a 5-day has some hopium. No, not really. Not really. You are kind of in a bouncy zone, but again, bouncy zone just likely leads towards another daily lower high. So lower highs, like I said, 16 cents is not asking for too much. I think 17.5 to 18 cents, probably a little bit more likely. 20 cents would be kind of a gift, but that's a far cry away from 22, which would actually be a bit of a reversal in my eyes on this one. Until then, I'm looking for maybe short-term ups, but long-term downs, essentially. And long-term, maybe into March, probably looking somewhere down around, low 10 cent or so. Somewhere around there, and I'd be looking for a greater bounce off of that regions. Anyways, we have Steve S next, says, hey bud. God damn it. Sorry, man. Link on the daily weekly. Yes, gotcha. LINK. Yeah, I'm curious to see where this one is, because I haven't checked on like any altcoins in a long time now. Yeah, not good. Really not good, man. Wow, even the monthly is about to close below the 21 as well. Again, there's going to be rallies here and there. Short term, wouldn't be asking for too much to go back up towards $15. Even $16 is probably within the cards, but heavily bearish below 18.5. Heavily bearish and very likely to see lower into March. Strong support at about 10 and a quarter. So that's kind of where I'd be looking for in March for a greater bounce. But until then, the hopium is back above either on a weekly closure at about $18 on a daily closure. What was it? About $19 on a daily, actually quite close to each other. If you start to see back above those levels, that's where I look at this one. It's actually putting in probably a macro base right here. I think it's a little less likely right now, but hey, that would be my line in the sand, and actually big targets to the upside after that if it were to happen, into the mid 20s, and probably even puts in a major low as well. See what the 5-day looks like. Yeah, probably more short term, probably more likely to bounce here a little bit first. But again, even bounces $16 don't really do too much. Anyways, let's see. Yeah, Capatica says, so I just got Caretaker's RSI and didn't see the hidden bullish divergence on the daily chart. Hate to be that guy, but settings. You motherfucker, watch the goddamn videos. Sorry, I can't help myself, man. I've lost my patience in Dubai. No, man, I'm just giving you shit. All right, look, for any indicator that we do offer on our site, I would humbly request that anyone sincerely watch the settings and then also the videos on how to use them. Anyways, as far as this one goes, I'm going to guess 1, you're probably not on Wilders. You're probably on Cutlers as far as the type goes. And then 2, these should be default anyways, so that's probably right. What might not be default is the divergence look back bars. I use a 28. I find that that's probably the most comfortable that I am with going that far back. Yes, I have used 32 in the past. It can work, but the signals do get less and less statistically relevant the further back that you go. So I find that 28 is like a good healthy median right there. But that's personal. That is personal preference. What I'd say is probably what you're getting wrong about this is the Wilders. I prefer Wilders over Cutlers. Some people prefer Cutlers, for their own styles. But I just find I'm better at Wilders because I've been looking at it for longer, really. So that's probably what's going on right there. It's covered in I believe the first settings video right there. So hopefully that was helpful, ma'am. Anyways, let's see. Tom Struck says, best wishes to Europe, sir. I hope so indeed, man. Would you please have a look at gold hourly and daily, weekly? Yeah. So you're looking at XAU, USD. See where this one's at. This would be probably the environment for gold to do something relevant. And we've been pretty bullish on gold for like the last month or two. I'd say that's warranted. I do think, however, you're in a pullback region here on the weekly, that is. So you are saying what? Daily, weekly, war good for gold? Generally speaking, yes. Cynical, yeah, it's it is quite cynical. I've already done Ethereum, Bitcoin 4-hour daily. Yeah, we can just do gold, man. I do think that you are in a pullback region right here. Ultimately, though, I am still bullish on this one after a bit of a pullback. So the monthly and the higher term timeframes is what tells all in this thing. You have to have the patience of a fucking saint in order to trade this. So I do not myself, but you see a very, very powerful setup here. Monthly volatility has not been this low since when? Since April 2018. That was coming off of the last macro lows at about 1,200 or so before moving up to our current highs just above 2,000. And you also are seeing that this is going to be combined with a Joule monthly upside signal right there. DMI is already supporting, I should add. And then also a couple drives of hidden bullish divergence right there as well. So I am looking for this one to trade up into the rest of the year, or I don't know about the rest of the year, but the next few months, very, very likely. After a weekly pullback, where those pullback targets will come back to in a second. But quarterly, I think that this is a rather obvious chart. Very likely going to retest the highs sometime this year and probably make new all-time highs around, mid to late this year, I'd imagine. If we go back into the weekly over here, where would a pullback target be short term? I don't know, maybe like 1850 to 1860 or so. Let's go down to a daily, actually. Yeah, it could be like somewhere around 1850 to 1860. I'd only invalidate long-term bullishness. I'd really only invalidate long-term bullishness below about 1820 or so on a weekly. Until then, I'm basically bullish on all higher-term timeframes, and this has been a very long, very patient, and and actually very technical correction right here. So I do remain bullish on this one, but short-term, probably a bit of a pullback there. Hopefully that was helpful, man. Echo ZN says, Luna USD on the 4-hour and daily. Sure. Yeah, we haven't done that one. This one's very popular as well, so maybe we record it as well, and let's come at it over here. Okay. Luna actually looking not that bad, especially compared to most other things. Okay, here we have Terra Luna, symbol LUNA, versus the dollar, and we actually have something that looks, we have a chart here that looks different than many of the other ones. This one, certainly not as bad as many, or basically all the other charts that we've seen, except for gold today. Anyways, a couple things going on right here that would make me rather, I guess rather, maybe bullish isn't the right word, but looking for a big move to the upside. So maybe, I guess bullish is the right word. Anyways, the big one would be above your range highs. In this case, your range highs are above 61.5 bucks. There are a few things kind of supporting that. It will get a try around there. We do have some regular bullish evidence on the daily. See that volatility is incredibly low right now. So this next move very likely is going to be a generally big one. We also see daily Jewel is getting a bit of a balance off of the slow moving right there as well. So if I do start to see the daily Jewel get a cyan color here, then I would be looking at that alongside BBWP as, you know, likely to be get a pretty big signal. At that point, I would be looking for targets. Let's see. I'd be looking for a target somewhere around about 68.25, maybe even as high as 75 to 83 or so. Above 83, I'd be macro bullish on this one, looking for trending probably new highs in Q2, maybe like late Q2, but Q2. Nonetheless, until then, I should denote this as well. You actually do have a simultaneous potential bearish setup going on here as well. It's not confirmed just yet, but you do see that we will have potentially hidden bearish divergence for 1, 2, 3 drives if it does confirm a local high right here. How would it confirm a local high right here? Well, first things first, obviously it wouldn't confirm the validation for, you know, further upside, but you'd expect kind of a stop right here and then a closure on a 12-hour, I probably wouldn't use a lower term time frame in this case, below about 52.5. If you see something like that, then this is going to be a bit of a descending triangle, and I would be looking for, you know, next move down into not February, March, that is March, somewhere around like $40 even. Somewhere around there. Until then, I actually do think that this one's showing a bit more relative strength than pretty much anything else that we've seen today. And, you know, I'm generally of the opinion that things are kind of setting up for a bit of a short-term bounce here, maybe after one more grind out of the lows. If that happens, Luna is probably going to be one of the better actors in this case. Short-term timeframes, like a 4-hour, do really look like it might be putting in a bit of a short-term high right here. Again, 4-hour, I actually could use a 4-hour closure in this case. 4-hour closure below about $52.5 would be my line in the sand. If I see something like that, probably going to play out the more bearish of these two resolutions with targets down into March. Until then, I do think that the Bulas have a bit of a chance there. And I think I'll leave that one as it is. So hopefully that's helpful. And there you go for Luna, sir. Let's see. Yeah, we literally just did Luna, so all good. He's like you read your mind, man. It's like you read your fucking mind. Also, is Premium Crown app more for people in the training programs or useful for us plebs too? No, it doesn't matter if you're in a program or not to use the premium over here. So you know, it just comes down to this. Like if you actually want to read through what it offers, if that's useful for you, then hey man, go for it. But I would think that for the average person, having access to the hourly data feeds for something like open interest and funding rates and whatnot, that can actually add quite a bit of an edge to most trading styles. So I think that would probably be valuable. Other than that, you know, it does give you more access if you want to like really boost up your portfolio and whatnot with kind of like tracking everything and access to all the different coins and customizing the dashboard and stuff like that. So if you already kind of find value in that, then maybe yes. And also it gives you the Jewel Light, I suppose, as well. But other than that, you know, that's for you to decide, of course. So I'd say it, you know, it depends, obviously. If that's a part of your strategy, yeah. If it's not, then probably not. No. So yeah. But yeah, it has nothing to do with the programs actually. I mean, the programs do cover some of that data and strategies with it, but it doesn't mean that you can't like find other ways to use it, nor doesn't mean that you might find it not useful at all. I mean. So fair enough. Anyways, Michael S says Tesla daily, weekly, much love and appreciation. Much love and appreciation to you as well. Symbol TSLA. Okay. Let's see. And you said daily and weekly, higher term timeframes here. Yeah, man. Major traditional markets are just looking like god awful. Again, in a bit of a bouncy area here, so it's not wise in my experience to call like a full-on meltdown just yet, but I would say that the resolution point for a full-on meltdown is very, very close here. A daily closure below about $800 would do it for me, and I'd be looking for March to open up, or maybe not open up, but to trade somewhere into $700. And yeah, I do think that $700 does get tested. Honestly, look, the question is, does it get another bounce here or not? Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. realistically long term, I am looking for this thing to come down somewhere around 700, maybe like 650 to 700 or so. That's where I'd be looking for the next major bounce. But this is looking like a major high to me, man. 1, 2, 3 drives of bearish divergence on the fucking monthly after hitting extremes on BBWP. Not a good signal. And then the monthly jewel is actually very close to getting a downside signal. This would even be like a pretty strong sell signal if it does print blue as well, because it is getting rejected by the slow on that one as well. So that would be pretty fucking ugly, man. Pretty fucking ugly. So I would, as always, leave open the possibility of of a bit of a trap, but it's not happening anytime soon. If it were to get confirmed, it would be back above 950 on a daily. Until then, many drives of hidden bearish divergence right here. You're already on your last kind of legs. I feel like I'm feeding you hopium, but it does need to be defined, just because things can and will happen. But I wouldn't be looking at anything bullish on this thing as long as you're below 950 on any respectable higher time frame. Cool. Or maybe not cool. Daniel Belch says triple O on ASX. Okay. Thank you for specifying the exchange. Okay. Beta oil ETF. I'm feeling beta today. Looking pretty good though. I just got CTR side. Can you please explain how you would evaluate the simultaneous bullish and bearish divergence? That's a couple questions. Oh, okay. You're talking about in this case right here. Okay, this is actually a really, really good question. So a lot of the time you'll see something like this, right? And it's actually it's actually in this case. Okay, is this one usable in this case? Yeah, I'd say that it is usable in this case. Okay, so look, when you get hidden bullish divergence or regular bearish divergence or any divergence at all, it doesn't mean that that move is going to like play out for forever. Obviously, it means that you're probably going to get, in this case, a short-term pullback on the bearish signals within the context of an uptrend, but the hidden bullish divergence signals are very likely to be your higher lows. So these signals do play out, which is what I'm guessing you're realistically asking. So the thing is, and the key is, when you're looking at an uptrend like this, the bearish divergence signals, those are very likely going to be smaller signals in this case. So you can see right here on this one, coming off of this high, you do confirm it on this closure right here on the 8th of February, or at least the 8th of February for me. And it is down about almost 3% in that case. But as soon as hidden bullish divergence forms on the other side right here, that's at the point where, obviously we do look a little bit higher. So we're just, those signals can play in between each other, which is typically what you will see in consolidations. But in my experience, you should favor the ones that are on the current side of the trend at the end of the day. And you typically do play at about 3 of those, in this case, hidden bullish divergence, before a resolution in that same direction. So in this case, that would be to the upside. But yeah, when you get those signals, very close to each other, they're just, it's just the ebbs and flows of the market, nothing more, nothing less. I don't really, I can see how that might be confusing, especially to someone like newer on this one, and especially this signal right here, because this is not like a good one, to be fair. I would not look at that one as playable myself. But the other ones, actually do play it rather well. So when they come close to each other, it's just, these signals aren't meant to be played like for forever. The downside signals, probably just a few bars. The upside signals, potential for more, because it is in the same side of the trend. Generally speaking though, I despise assets that do something like this, but I wouldn't be surprised to see this one kind of trade sideways and up from here into March, maybe even the month after March as well, maybe somewhere around like low $10 or so. But long term, it's very difficult for me to like a chart like this, because I'm not going to ever look for a reversal on something that's only ever gone down for the last 10 years, the last fucking decade. So moves to the upside very likely do get stifled at some point. The question is where. So maybe 950, maybe even as much as 1150, somewhere around 10, probably cut it to the middle, if I had to guess. But yeah. Anyways, We're All Satoshi says, hey, that's not spelled properly, sir. Satoshi. I'm Satoshi as well. TRX on the hourly and 4 hour. Oh, fuck, man. You are definitely not Satoshi. What is this, man? I haven't looked at Tron since like 2019. Still pretty bad, but short term, does it get a nice try to the upside? I think kind of already getting that. You did get a bullish engulfing yesterday. It's already getting rejected at the 21. It's relatively weak. It's what it looks like to me. 4 hour is going to print hidden bearish divergence in this case. Not confirmed yet, but will be confirmed with any sort of oh, sorry. You're only asking about hourlies and 4 hours. All right. So let me actually just address that. I do play this one as more likely to come back down somewhere around your 6 cent lows. which is a big move on a 4-hour time frame for an asset that trades in single digits here. But that will be confirmed with any sort of a closure on a 4-hour below about 6.2 cent. Until then, I would invalidate that above about 6.4 cent. If that level is met, I would be looking for actually a nice move to the upside in this case, probably somewhere around 6.6, maybe even as much as 6.7.5. And that would look pretty damn good for a 4-hour reversal in this case. Other than that, though, it's kind of like the opposite example of what we just looked at, in fact, because, you know, we're within the context of a downtrend. You're getting a few regular drives of bullish divergence over here, and you're getting a few hidden bearish divergence drives off the highs. But in this case, not confirmed just yet. Will be confirmed below about 6.2 on a closing basis. If you're on an hourly, it just looks sloppy on an hourly, but you have the same sort of potential hidden bearish divergence. Actually, do you? Hold on. We have a high here, 61.16. We have a high here, 61.17. So the slightest drive ever of 0.01, but hey, it is there, I guess. If that is met, so an hourly closure below about 6.19 would do it for me, with targets back down to about 6.05 to 6 even or so. Until then, invalidation, very obviously, even on an hourly as well, below above about 6.4, with targets up short term to about 6.5, and then probably more like 6.7 or so over time. Anyways, let's see. I think we have Hoax next. He says ANC for and daily. Sure. ANC. Okay. Oh, it's a I don't think I've ever seen this one before. It's a crypto though. Anchor Protocol. Actually, not bad on the hourly though. Not bad on the hourly. Although you're not asking about that. You're asking about a 4 and a daily, and also not that bad on a 4-hour. Nor is it that bad on a daily in the short term, but you are at kind of a major region right here. I don't know when I've charted this thing last. I don't recall. It must have been a very long time ago. I'm guessing back around here in middle of December. You're right back at that same level that I marked off right here, and I would be looking at that as a big area to be aware of, meaning that if you do start to close dailies above there, about 302, 303, I would be looking for extensions, probably somewhere up about $3.50, and maybe this even is the low. But for right now, I'm still looking at this as a corrective rally here, simply because this is a long-term downtrend. This thing's never known what an uptrend is. So lower highs exist as long as you're below, especially above about $3.50. What is that? $3.50? Yeah, $3.50 in this case. If you're on a 4-hour, not that bad, but it's starting to find a little bit of selling pressure right there. I'd still be waiting for a closure. If I'm on a 4-hour, I'd be saying above about 3.25. At that point, I do look for that next move to the upside. Until then, this would actually be a great place for another lower high, for what it's worth. Weekly, have some bullish evidence right there. Maybe it is a reversal. Let's see what the stochastic momentum says as well. I'm just curious over here. Kind of a weird chart, man, because it's not really looking like most of the things that we've seen, especially today. Yeah, weekly doesn't even populate, so that's not good. Well, it's not that it's not good, but it's not helpful. Daily barely populates. 4-hour will turn down below about 270. So here's what I would say. I wouldn't confirm it as a local high just yet, obviously. I'd actually give the nod to the Bulaws here as it is, where I would start to switch around and say that this is going to be your next major local high and also a lower high, and probably getting ready for another retest of your lows and probably new lows into March, would be with a 4-hour closure below about 230 in this case. Until then, I think you kind of have a bit of a chance here. I just want to see a closure above about 3. You could probably even say about 311.5 or so on a 4-hour, and on a daily, I think it was like 3 even. Yeah, 3 even would probably do it for me. Yeah. Until then, I mean, this kind of would theoretically be a great place for another lower high, but fair enough. Mr. Dr. Roscoe says, "Hey, Crown, can you look at CRO if you haven't?" I have not, man. I haven't looked at this one in a very long time now, too. Let's see our CRO. Whoops, that's not how you write USD. That's not how you write USD. Let's see. What would be good? Maybe. Hold on, is this oh, that's right, yeah, okay. You're talking about Kronos, or I feel like you're probably talking about crypto.com. Maybe, but this is the symbol. Hold on, this doesn't seem right to me. Yeah, I'm guessing you're talking about one of these. Let me try this one. Here we go. I'm guessing you're talking about this. Weekly and monthly. Okay, very likely talking about this then. Again, in a bouncy region, kind of the same thing as Bitcoin. I think you could very easily see a move up in the short term to 42.5, maybe even 44. I do look at this one, however, as bearish as long as you're below about 46. That doesn't mean that it can't get above there. It's just if it does, that's where I start to change around my opinions on it and look for March to probably trade up towards 50 to 60 cents, which would be kind of a big move on something like this. Weekly, Same thing. Monthly, not really much to make out of that, to be fair. But for right now, I don't really have a reason to get bearish on it as long as you're above about 36 and a quarter on a daily. Below there, yeah, very likely going to make new lows and probably trade well back down towards 24 to 25 cents. But for right now, I actually would be looking for next move up. And then the question is, where does it stop? If it stops anywhere below our critical region, which was 46 cent, then I would be generally bearish looking for new lows into March. If it does start to exceed there over the next week and a half, then I'd probably be looking for actually a nice reversal here and a nice accumulation range between about 50 and in mid 30s or so, which would be good long term. Anyways, Echo Zien says, what? Okay. Crypto Moo says, oh, god damn it, Elsa. Eli Karchov says, Adam, 4 hours, sir. Gotcha. All right. Let me try this one over here. Elsa's already signed in the background. She's having a hard day. Anyways, oh, you got, okay, yeah, she's having I think she has like food poisoning or something. Anyways, Adam on the 4 hour, sir, again, in a bouncy region, just like a lot of the other ones are, kind of already at the easy targets for the 4 hour. I think if it does get extension, probably looking at about 26 and a half, but do we have hidden bearish evidence here? No, we don't. So that'd actually be a little bit of a good, or it's just not a bad signal just yet. I'm looking for something that's obvious here, man. I need to maybe go over here. I feel like there's something obvious that we could find on this one, but I'd probably say that this one's, yeah, more likely to try some upside from here. 12 hours, same thing. 24 and 24.12 daily is going to turn up above 24.9. So it's above all these things. Yeah, I think that you're generally going to trade a bit more sideways and up. Next area of interest would be about 26 and a half bucks. 4 hour, yeah, about 26 and a half bucks or so. Short term, I'd be a little bit more concerned if you do see an hourly closure, let's say below about 24.40. At that point, I'd be looking for a retest of your lows. But I still think that most of this market doesn't really have the momentum nor liquidity to force like a really big downside move from exactly where we're at right now. I think that most things in this market are kind of generally getting ready for a bounce, and then we're kind of playing the game of, okay, does this bounce turn into another lower high or not? And just kind of have those areas marked off. So for now, I'm actually cautiously looking for a bit more sideways and up here, probably somewhere around 26 to 26 and a half. And then take it from there. Crypto Moo says MK on the 1 and 4 hour, please. On Coinbase. All right, well, we can do it on Coinbase. Not great there. Wow, that is fucking ugly long term. But that's a daily. You're not concerned with that. 4 hour, I do think trades a little bit further north. 1880 to 1890 or so. If you're on an hourly, as you did request, same thing. Above about 1865, however, on an hourly, I would extend targets significantly to just above 1900. But long term, not a fan of this chart. Short term, just like a lot of the other things, looking for a bit of an extension on this bounce. And then we'll come back to after that. Let me take a sip of this water though, man. I am damn thirsty right now. Yeah, go to Subway to get food poisoned. There you go. Man, I haven't eaten at some Subway since like 2015. How did they make it sound like eating a fucking massive foot long, taking a 12-incher to the dome of bread is somehow some way healthy? Insane, man. Insane. Okay, but it is considered healthy in America. Look, when I was growing up, okay, I thought that like peanut butter jelly sandwiches were like healthy food, that's what I was told. That was like eating good, eating right. Anyways, we have we already got Dr. Roscoe, we already got Echo Zien with Adam. Girlfriend said Adam. Girlfriend.
Did you do Adam because he changed his request to Matic?
All right, Matic. Yeah, we can do Matic. It's my girlfriend holding me back. I don't know, but should she almost make it or is she already making it? Let's see, Matic over here, very similar to all the other ones, having a better short-term response though, so that is, I guess, a better relative sign. Short-term, wouldn't mind a move towards 160 or so on the 4 hour there. Daily, again, just like a lot of the other ones, it's hard to get excited about this thing as long as you're especially below about 175. Above 175, I'd actually say that you do have a pretty nice and formidable low in, and probably do trade up into March into the 2 1/4 region on the daily. That would be only if. Until then, weekly, higher term timeframes are more in a bouncy region, but this does look like a top for a while to me, at least as it is. I'd really only change my opinion around again with a daily above about 175 at minimum. Full on confirmation would be above about 190. Anyways, let's see. Okay, we're at Mr. T. He says, could you talk a little bit how you use BBWP to differentiate between corrective moves and reversals? It's like, just give away the program for 5,000 wands. Okay, it's quite simple here, honestly. All right, so when you're looking at BBWP or any volatility indicator, there are two phases that you can look at: expansion and contraction. Expansion is when you see it going up. Contraction is when you see it go down. Then I also use the moving average on that to add further confluence to it. When I see an expansion phase, then I look at momentum oscillators as more likely to play out in the general direction of the general direction of the trend. And if it is contrary to the general direction of the trend, then it might be an actual reversal in that case. That's when I look for a trend, big moves essentially. When I see that the BBWP is contracting, I just look for, moves within the context of the current trend to be pullbacks or bounces into continuation moves. So then you can use like your RSI to define your hidden divergences, because it should naturally either have hidden bullish divergence or hidden bearish divergence to get those corrective moves. But corrective moves just means it's probably going to be another lower high in the context of a downtrend, or another higher low in the context of an uptrend. So yeah. All right, let's see. Dill says, can you send me the link to the Putin statement? I can't right now. I can't right now, man. I imagine a Google search would probably do it. Something to that effect. I'm probably butchering it too, man, because I'm kind of like translating it into my own mind, but that was kind of like the gist of the statement, if you will. Nuke Tech says, or sorry, actually, hey, what's up, Randy Fox? Good morning to you, man. There's another one of our lovely moderators. Good morning to you, man. Good to see you. Okay, I think we have Nuke Tech next. Says FTM 4 hour and hourly. Is that right? Oh, and when moon, of course. When moon is the real question. FTM. Okay. FTM. All right, Binance, 4 hour. All right, so let me get off the daily perhaps. 4 hour, a little bit on the short term weaker side compared to a lot of the other assets that we've seen today, but short term, does it rally up to like 167? Wouldn't be asking for too much. Hourly, I would invalidate short term continuation to the upside with any sort of an hourly closure below about 158 with targets back down towards your 150 lows. I know you didn't ask about a daily, but I think the daily is, it just kind of adds a little bit more obviousness here. Probably do see a corrective move somewhere right around about 175 to 170-ish region. Long term, not as bad as long term not as bad as a lot of the other things that we've seen, but short term timeframes got beat up a little bit more than other things. So I'm still looking for maybe a short term move to the upside, probably like 167. I'd really only change my opinion around as like looking at this as likely to have a greater move. I wouldn't say a reversal. Until you get a 4 hour back up about 180. At that point, yeah, I'd be looking for moves into the low $2 regions. But until then, just follow the trend in this case. Hard to love for right now, but short term probably does have some upside, and hopium will start to be restored when you get back up about $2 or so. Until then, until then, I guess. See what the monthly looks like on this one. Yeah, not as bad on the higher term timeframes as a lot of the other things that we've seen. But I guess you're not really concerned with that because you're not asking about those. You're asking about an hourly and a 4 hour. Hey, what's up, Wally? Good morning, man. One bear suit. Man, have you seen my back? I'm always in bear suits. Good to see you, brother. Cat. By the way, man, I got to give you a shout out, Wally. Good job in the Discord, man. You've actually you become one of the you become one of the guys who really puts his effort and good foot forwards, and you've really done it, man. You've really done it, and you've been a good point of reference for a lot of other people as well, with just kind of being like a good constant reminder. It's like, hey, this is the process, this is the way, and it's been, I think, very, very helpful to a lot of the newer people, man. So that's very cool to see. All right, we got Katagen next. He says Sol 4 hour daily weekly. Ziki Ziarmol. I'm guessing you're Polish, man. Man, Polish is one of those languages that it sounds like dots. It sounds like little dots, man. It's such an interesting language. I just hear people communicating. Anyways, let's see. You're looking at Solana for our daily weekly. Where we at? Solana, not great, but short term, is it likely to bounce alongside most other things? We're kind of already there right now. Short term, probably a little bit more extension at 91.5 is certainly not asking for too much. If you do get another move to the upside, $98, kind of where I'm looking towards. 4 hour, same thing as well. 4 hour would actually, if you do start to get back above 98, what was it, 97, 98? Hold on, what was the daily target? About 99 actually. Sorry, no, 98. I'm reading the wrong number. Above about 98. Things actually do start to change around a little bit, especially for the short-term timeframes, and I would extend moves up towards about 110 to maybe even 115 region. Long-term, however, on a daily, again, hard chart to love as long as you're below that last lower high, which is about 119 or so. Above there, yeah, I do look at this as, this would be a major bear trap right here. But until then, it is more downside angled, obviously, and any sort of, could I even use a 4 hour in this case? Yeah, I probably could use a 4 hour closure on new lows below about $81, and I'd be looking for the next big move down into March. And when I say big move down, I mean somewhere down around about $65 to $70 or so, which is kind of a big move on a number like that. Yeah. Let's see what a monthly looks like here. Not great. Monthly looks like it wants to trade down. Weekly, not great as well. 5 day, I guess the hopium is that you do get back above about 118, 119 or so. Above there, I'd actually start to look at this as correction over and very likely to trade big to the upside, 170 to $200 or so. Cool. Echo Zien says docs on the 4 hour. Okay, whoa, calm down, sir. Willius says VTI 4 hour daily weekly monthly. Okay, VTI. Is this okay, so this is a real stonk. Okay, here we go. Vanguard. I thought it was going to be a crypto there. Yeah, not looking too hot. When's the next 5 day closure? Did we already have it? Is that what that means? Because there's no countdown. I think that is what that means. Yeah. Yeah, not great right there, man. Bullish above 230. As long as you're below there, though, heavily bearish, man. I think that this one trades lower into March. Very likely going to see about 210-ish region to 205. I think is very likely into March. But you're looking at a 4 hour. All right, well, short-term timeframes, do they give you another bounce back up to 220? Maybe, but I have no reason to not be bearish on this as long as you're below about 225 to 228 region. Above there, I actually do look at this as not just a bit of a bear trap, but a major bear trap, and I'd probably start to be quite bullish on it. But until then, short-term bouncy, kind of just the same as a lot of the cryptos that we've seen today. But until major regions are reclaimed, probably just looking at another lower high. Anyways, we have now we have Echo's the end. Okay, docs. Okay, this is DocuSign, I'm guessing. How the fuck are these? No, it's not. Oh, it's not DocuSign. Doximity, I'm guessing. Yeah, nicey. And you're looking at a 4 hour. Yeah, not good. This just looks like another lower high to me, man. But that's a daily. That's not a 4 hour. On a 4 hour, bearish as long as you're below about $60.50. Above there on a 4 hour closure, I do look for this one to actually put in a nice move up to somewhere back around low 70s. Until then, probably likely to trade a bit more sideways here and then come back down and fill that gap at about 30-ish region to 50.25. Long term, not a big fan of not a big fan of this one. I guess I'd be bullish above about 62 on a daily, but until then, yeah, not great there, not great. JT says, nope, sorry, it's Rocky G says, welcome back, fam. What's up, fam? Have you seen Pizzino's interview with Phil Anderson? I'm actually going to listen to it. I meant to listen to it yesterday, but I'm going to listen to it today. I have a high degree of respect for Mr. Phil Anderson. Very, very interesting. Yeah, and thank you for the reminder on that one. Yeah, man, I think it's like a marathon of a video, like 2 hours long, but he's been pretty damn interesting with his thoughts on real estate, which obviously are going to have some carryover into what we look at on this channel as well. JT says ARUSD, cup and handle on this POS. Is this, did we look at this one earlier? Are we? Maybe not, no. Is it a cup and, an inverted cup and handle? Maybe, if anything, man. You're on a 15 minute. Okay, well that's, man, we're going deep down into the lower term timeframes on a very highly esteemed piece of shit here, but It's just a cup and handle. So it can never be a cup and handle in this case, because a cup and handle is a continuation formation. But what it is in the very short term timeframes right here would be, if you know, I'm kind of splitting hairs here, but it would be a ascending triangle with confirmation above 27.15, and you probably get to target that last spike high that you saw from was this yesterday. If that condition is satisfied, it will be negated and invalidated below about 26.5 on a 15-minute closure, with targets back down towards 25.75 or so. I don't know if that's relevant to you. Technically not a cup and handle, but it is a bit of an ascending triangle right there. Cup and handles are continuation formations, not reversals in this case. And I'm guessing you're looking at this is your cup and then this is your handle. No, but again, at the end of the day, you don't, like, it doesn't matter what you call it, man. Look, if you see resolution of the same area that would have been your handle anyways, it's, you know, you're probably going to get that nice move. So that's kind of why I don't really care too much about like naming formations. Anyway, Sahil says, Crown, please check MTV, USD 4 and daily. Sure. All right, last one of the day, man. My voice is holding up surprisingly okay. Multivac. Okay. 4 hour and daily. Let's see what the daily looks like. What? You can close the chat, sir. I don't think that you need to, but you can do it. Anyways, multivac. Wow. Oh my god, man. Okay. All right. So let me just double check. You're looking at a 4 on daily. Let's see. 4 hour here. 4 actually looks kind of interesting to me. I do think, just like a lot of the other things that we've seen today, you know, short term can very easily have another move up, somewhere around about, like, what is this, 9/10 of a cent. And actually this one does have a chance to do something relatively important here. Any sort of a daily above about 9.5 of a cent. I'm just going off of this region right here. Any sort of a daily closure above, let's just make it like this, the 21st of February high. I would actually be looking for this one to reapproach the high side of your daily range, which is about 1.2 cent. Yeah, 1.2 cent. And that would actually make this start to look a lot better long term. Until then, I do think it's probably a little bit more poised for maybe another short-term rally, maybe, but ultimately probably another try to the downside at 0.7 of a cent. But if that condition is met over there, then yeah, I would start to look at this as a reversal in the making. You're probably going to see something similar on Bitcoin as well if that were going to happen. You know, weekly's not saying the same thing, to be fair. 5-day, same thing as well here. I do think it's a little more likely for it to test the lows overall into March than not, but hey, that'll be my condition for a bit of a short-term reversal, and once again, igniting some hopium there if it were to happen. Sir, it doesn't need to be pinned. I'm about to shut it off anyways, but sure, I will pin it. Elsa's she's very finished, very by the books right there. Anyways, yeah, man. So I'm gonna read off a few of these comments here and then probably close it down. My voice is starting to get a little bit hammered there, but let's just see. What is going on right there? Oh my god. Most everything looks like poop until Bitcoin turns bullish again. Yeah, I mean that's generally going to be the analysis on just about everything. You know, whatever Bitcoin does, basically everything else is going to follow in varying degrees of strength and weakness. And you know, we've seen some things that were strong today. We've seen some things that are more weak today. But hey, if Bitcoin fails here and retests the lows, you're very likely to see the same on altcoins. Most altcoins will retest their lows from a couple days ago. If Bitcoin pushes through about 38.5, to be exact, I would be looking for a move probably somewhere around 39.5 to 40,000 bucks, and that's probably going to be reflected in most altcoins as well, with upside moves towards the top side of their daily ranges or so. More peaceful, says philosophy, and I would like more peacefulness. It would be good in the world. Let's see. Do you think Hex can make it into the top 10 in 2022? Sir, man, I can't answer that question in good faith just because, well, I think for obvious reasons. My question to you would be, and I'm just genuinely curious. I'm not trying to make fun of you. I'm not trying to shit on your hopes and dreams. But why do you believe in Hex? Just out of curiosity. Just out of curiosity. What is it about Hex that you seem to be so stuck on? Just genuinely curious here. Are you from America? Yeah, I grew up in California. Lived all across America and moved to Europe here in 2017, 2018. Tectonic, I can pay you for your time. What do you mean? How many rows? How many roses, sir? 10 years in Russian gulag will be a breeze. Yeah, exactly, man. John Dude says, oh man, I missed the morning stream. Yeah, man, I missed doing it. So did Elsa as well. She was actually even saying it on our trip to Dubai. She's like, you know what? I miss doing the streams a lot. It's like, all right, fair enough. Let's see. Echo Zien says, you mentioned in the Simp episode that probably a range between 30 to 60 and don't see much of your indicators to enter a trade. You don't see much indicators. I don't know what you mean by that part. How often do you reassess and backtest your strategy again? I'm always backtesting some new strategy. So I have multiple that I have in my Excel spreadsheet. So I'm always like trying one little small thing different just to see if I can get better results. But I will get, like if I'm trading the lower term time frame, I'm going to get signals like pretty fucking often, man. I think maybe there was a miscommunication there because I was talking about like long-term analysis. I was looking for signals. Obviously those don't happen too often because I'm looking at time frames like a weekly, for example, which just naturally you're going to get, maybe a few signals every quarter or so. But that's for like long-term analysis, which is not relevant to my strategy anyway. I'm actually mostly on short-term time frames. So for example, if I'm trading my 15-minute strategy here, let's see, when was the last time I got a signal? We can bring it up on this chart right here. This is the actual chart that I use to trade basically. Let's see. Actually got one, would have been this morning at 4 a.m. I wasn't awake for that, but there would have been one right there for a nice scalp. That would have been about, for a 15-minute chart, that would have been almost a $500 scalp. Let's see, I would have exited right here. So that would have been, basically just under 38, would have entered just at 37.6. So yeah, sorry, more like a $400 move right there. Still pretty damn good in my opinion for a 15-minute. Yeah, I mean, you kind of getting signals all the time, really. I don't really have much to add on to it other than that. Yeah, it's just, I'm just talking about different things. Anyways, let's see. The Hexkins will never stop now. I know, Lauren. I know it's a very interesting thing for me to watch though, just because oh Lord, here we go. Yeah, see other comment. It's so interesting for me to watch because people get like sucked into these things, and there's like no evidence that they could possibly see that would turn their mind otherwise until they. Well, I guess not. Actually, curious. I'm just curious to see where it actually is right now. Let's see. I mean, maybe it is rallying. Who knows? Who knows? I don't check on it like on my own volition. Nope, it's not rallying, and no, it's getting ready for a catastrophic fall yet again. I still stick with my long-term targets on this thing. I have no reason to change my long-term targets. Very likely back into single digits probably sometime later this year, but it's going to take time, man. I'd be happy to be, or it's not that I'd be happy to be because like I don't trade this thing, but if I were trading this thing, I'd be very bullish on it with any sort of a move back of about 27 and a half cent, but been bearish on this thing for a long time. We got both of these moves. This is the most bizarre thing. It plays so technically. It plays so fucking technically more than anything else I think I've seen in a long time. It's actually been one of the I wouldn't say easiest charts because there's nothing that's easy, and Hubris is a fucking killer, but it's just been one of the most technical charts, man. Just following very, very basic strategies here. Yeah, I'm still looking for this one to come down significantly into end of year, but yeah, that's not a great setup right there. Jesus, man. Not sure if that could influence Hex or not. What about it? I think there's no there. I mean, look, man, you have to look at their marketing. Their marketing is all talking about like how it can make you rich, not about what the technology does or anything like that. I was brought up to always understand marketing like that is usually not legitimate. But hey, what do I know, man? I don't know nothing. I haven't looked into it at all. Anyways. Did you get Total War Warhammer 3? I did, man. I've been playing it a little bit. I'm actually not a humongous fan of the new styles, man. I like the historical styles. I love those, man. Sir, are you not allowed to talk about Jesus in Finland? I'm pretty sure it's okay. They're not very religious people here, but yeah, Jesus this, Jesus that, man. It's all good. At least as far as I know. Richard Hart is a cult leader. I mean, Richard Hart is such an interesting person to me because he as a person, I actually like hearing him speak because he's so persuasive. He's so fucking persuasive, and he knows exactly what he's doing too, man, because he's very smart. He's incredibly intelligent. But he does use his persuasiveness to, he uses persuasiveness, and you can finish that. You can finish that statement for yourself. Hex is dumping, but when Richard Hart is ready to market Pulse Chain, it will pump hard. Maybe. I mean, he's made things pump in the past before. Yeah. Doesn't mean, yeah. I mean, shit, man. Anything and everything went up in the last market cycle, including Hex. I mean, fucking Shiba Coin went up. Doggy Coin went up. It doesn't mean much, man. Check out Nerd of the Rings on YouTube. Oh, I already have, man. I'm subscribed, baby. Yeah, he chooses words incredibly wisely. He's very, very intelligent, very, very intelligent, very interesting person to listen to. But it's even hard for me to like not get caught up in what he says. Like when I listen to him, I'm like, yeah, that sounds good. I'm in, man. Where do I sign up for this? But no. Why is the minister in court for talking about Jesus then, says Andre? I don't know. Sir, the news, let me tell you, man, there's usually more to it. Maybe you could buy a new personality. I just look, man, when someone's marketing scheme is to like go out and buy nice clothes and do lifestyle marketing, I don't know too many people who are legitimate who do lifestyle marketing. That's just what I've seen. If you want to check out this guy on YouTube who like exposes all these gurus and whatnot, his name is Spencer Cornelia. He's kind of like a CoffeeZilla guy on YouTube. He's very interesting, and he does a very good job. And I think that he does a good job of remaining like neutral as well. But it always comes down to lifestyle marketing almost. That's like the biggest sign. It's the fucking Tinder swindler, man. It's the Tinder swindler. He was lifestyle marketing. It's like he can't even speak fucking good English. He's like, we gonna work hard and play hard. It's like, what did you, that makes no sense. But he's in a private jet and he's flying first class and he's staying in all these amazing places. But it's lifestyle marketing, and that draws people in because we're kind of, we're very much primed. We're very much primed to look at something like that as, oh, this person has status, and because they have status, I should respect them intrinsically and well, follow what they say because obviously they've done something right. And there is some validity to that, but you'll notice, or at least in my opinion, I've noticed that people who truly do live that lifestyle, they don't really want to market it to other people because, well, I mean, it's just like unnecessary pressure. And it's also like, why would I want to tell everyone that I have money? It just makes me a target for people like as simple as like begging, which, it's like fair. It's like free for people to do, obviously, like you're allowed to do that. But at the same time, it's like, you don't really want to deal with that. And then two, it's just, I don't know, it seems not very altruistic. Anyways, private jet, where do I go? Today for the price of Bitcoin. Yeah, man. And you'll notice like a lot of those guys, the Dubai boys, they do lifestyle marketing is what they're doing a lot of the time. And again, I say this as someone who I love Chris Crypto as a person, man. I consider him a good friend. He's a good guy. He's a good guy in person. But a lot of those guys, like, they're showing you their lifestyle, and the implication is that, hey, I have this lifestyle, so I know what I'm talking about, and so on and so forth. And fair enough. Fair enough. Would you be able to recommend 3 good books to become a better trader? I would really appreciate that. The problem with recommending books is that if it's for like literal strategy, they're going to be irrelevant by the time that they're printed. And then also it's like, how do you address the nuanced situations? Like, it's difficult enough for me to do on a video because I obviously have my own programs. But doing it in writing would seem like infinitely more difficult. What I do find a lot of value in books for is dealing with like psychology. So that would be Trading in the Zone. And then his other book by Mark Douglas is The Disciplined Trader. Both of those are amazing. He also has free lectures on YouTube, which are just as good. Maybe not just as good, but I'd get the book, man. It's really, really good. It's really, really good. And then I like to read books that, I learn about like my inner thought processes, because a lot of the time, man, with strategies and whatnot, like most people can figure out a strategy within like a month of looking at things, maybe more, maybe less, whatever it is, but they typically just get in their own way. So so dealing with that sort of psychological aspect of it, that is what I found a lot of value in reading books specifically for. Bernie Madoff has a great book on investing. I'm sure he does, man. Hats are 24/7, says Kendrick. Hey, what's up, Kendrick? Good morning to you, man. Yeah. It is a weird thing, man. It certainly is a weird thing. I do see what you're saying. Do you think Florida is the greatest country on the earth? If I had to go to the U.S., it'd probably be Florida or Texas, I guess, or maybe Colorado. But no, man. Well, one, it's not a country, and then two, I quite like where I'm at right now, man. I like how it's safe here. You know, I don't have to worry about too much, and things generally work. And people haven't gotten too crazy just yet. I got one Q-tip with my Prada fund. You got a Prada Q-tip. That's very nice. And a Prada toothbrush. Yeah, there's a 4-part seminar from Mark Douglas on YouTube. It's great, man. It's really, really good. I strongly recommend that. He's amazing, man. He's amazing. You're from Colorado? Yeah, man. Colorado seems like a great place. You shill Bybit links, yet you question Richard Hart's integrity. I think that's just something that you heard him say. And yes, there is a Bybit link in the description of my video. Have you heard me talk about it once this stream, let alone in the last month? No, you haven't. And also, I don't think shilling Bybit links is like a bad thing to begin with, to be honest with you, even if I was more aggressive with it, which I know several other people are, simply because, look, man, you can use it or not use it. Doesn't matter. Like, I'm not forcing you to do it. So I think that's a really poor, I think that's a really low rent argument, to be honest with you. And I know for a fact that you didn't think of that yourself. And we both know that because you heard Richard Hart say it. And that's my whole point with the Richard Hart cult, is that people hear what he says and then they just repeat it like parrots. And again, man, I know this comes off as maybe harsh, but that's kind of who's susceptible to that sort of thing, man. I wouldn't say I don't know if he's a grifter or not, but look at his past, man. You can look at his past. It's all out there in the internet. I think he even speaks about it. And again, I'm not saying anything that isn't known. He will he will he will tell you himself, actually. And that's the thing, man. Come on, Crown, says Edwin's generation. You want me to go for the jugular? I don't need to, man. Someone look at this person's name. It's Prince of Pulse. Prince of Pulse, this person's already bought in. He's taken on the identity. This is what Richard Hart does incredibly well. These people, they change their names. They change their identity to Pulse, to Hex. They have like Hex God in their name, or Pulse God, or whatever the fuck, it might be. And it's like, you're no longer your own individual. You're now outsourcing your thinking to this guru type figure, which, that's, maybe there's some good in that. I don't know. It requires less energy, maybe. so for some people that's easier to do, of course. But I think one of the big things that, you always want to be pushing back on people is, like, you are your own individual, and of course you're responsible for your own choices, and that is actually ultimately a good thing, even though it can be in some ways, a bit difficult to deal with. But yeah. It's just strange, man, that people will really like go for that. But I actually spend a lot of time thinking about this, because it's like, who are the kind of people who really do go for this? And I'm actually speaking as someone who sacrificed for a Pulse, mostly so that his crew wouldn't like come after me with the fucking pitchforks whenever I do talk about Hex, because I've been generally bearish on it for the last few months. But at the same time, you can still make money with it. There's nothing wrong with that. You can certainly make money on any one of its projects. In fact, they've been massively profitable for probably most people, assuming they didn't fully buy fully didn't drink the Kool-Aid and hold all the way down, which maybe they did. Maybe you're one of them. I don't know. But yeah, apparently he's had all sorts of like backgrounds. I did a Google search on him, and I think this was like 20 years ago. So, people change, to be fair. People definitely change, but he was once found spamming inboxers or something like that, and I think he went to court in like Washington maybe. And that's kind of like what Hex or Pulse is doing now, is like they're sending out letters to people. They sent out letters to people, I'm guessing off of some like leaked database, probably like a leaked email database from Ledger maybe, which also gave out their addresses. And it's like little marketing thingies like for Hex or Pulse. That seems quite aggressive, man. That seems quite aggressive to me. I don't know, man. Yeah, and there you go. Have you figured out who of the Dubai boys borrows your analysis for their own channel? I think they all do. I know some of them do, but I was actually referring to a few other accounts. I don't even really need to. Honestly, I don't even want to get into the topic because it's like I shouldn't care, man. I should look at it as I should look at it as like, a nice thing. It's like, oh, they think it's good. That's cool. Let's see. Oh my God, man. Yeah, there you go, Mr. Justo. There you go. In this video. Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting thing though. Yeah, so something like that, Phil. And I try to take it in stride, and it's like, all right, well, it's probably a sign of respect in some ways, maybe. Crown, how about a guest appearance on in the Island Boys song? If only, man. If only. I heard that they went to jail recently. I heard that they've gone to or they've like got some sort of like issues against them. Moon Carl is the worst. He encouraged leverage trading in his videos, and so many people lost money because of him. I mean, look, I understand this argument, but I've actually been having this own discussion in my own head. It's like, okay, it takes two to tango, right? Like, yeah, he's obviously promoting it, and I mean, you're allowed to promote it though. It's not illegal to promote something like that. What's immoral is giving out shitty trades and then promoting using your link. No. No, what's immoral is making it look easier than what it really is. Because I can tell you first and foremost that trading is not fucking easy, man. And if you really don't have too much experience, you shouldn't expect any like real results for a while, if at all. I mean, if you're not going to really put your full effort into it, obviously. But at the same time, those people who are kind of going for it. Are they naive? Are they greedy? Do they play a role in that? Do they have some responsibility themselves? Certainly both parties have responsibility. Certainly both do. What is the extent of that? Well, at some point, he is not forcing those people to, one, take his link and then go trade with it. He's not forcing them, to be fair. He can't. He can be persuasive. He can maybe be like that. I don't know how far he goes in his videos. Like if he's saying like, hey, you'll definitely make this amount of money doing this, which I don't think that he does. Maybe if he does do that, then that's highly immoral, and that probably is illegal, and that probably is like an issue. But if he doesn't do that, then he doesn't really cross the line, at least in my mind. Where people cross the line is where they do something like that, at least as far as I say, as far as I think. Until then, there is a divide between, okay, what you do is your own responsibility, and it's just, that's I do think that things kind of boil down to that, because I have to think like that myself, because if I don't think like that myself, then I will be not taking responsibility for anything that's basically hard, and if I don't do that, then I shouldn't be entitled to the results anyway. So it's a back and forth discussion, I know, but at some point, like, they both share responsibility, but at the end of it, unless if he's literally forcing them or like being completely misleading, deliberately misleading, because maybe he believes in his setups and whatnot. I don't know. I don't know. There's no way for me to know that. But unless if he's being deliberately misleading, then I don't think that he crosses a line. And I think that people, they are responsible for their decisions. We all kind of learn that way, unfortunately. Love face XYZ. Enough watch stream girls here. Nice. Ooh, baby. We gonna get some titty streams on this bitch or what? Yeah, I mean, and at the same time, it's like, look, even if it isn't your fault, it is always better to take responsibility for your decisions anyways, because it puts you in the mindset where you'll actually be able to change And that's where you actually can get a different result for yourself instead of just being at the whims of it. Because, if you just use that as your excuse every time, you can use that as your excuse, but you're going to be in the same shitty place. If you take responsibility for it, even if it isn't necessarily your fault, you will give yourself a chance to actually change so that you can avoid being in that shitty place as well. Hey, what's up, Bear Nutrition? There he is. There he is, man. Kay is a chain link boy. I'm a bit of a chain link boy. Anyways, I think that's going to be the end of the stream here, though. How far underground are you? I'm quite overground right now. In fact, we're living on the 5th story of this building. Can't say no to girl stream. That's right, man. All right, I'm gonna go check out that girl stream. It's been an absolute pleasure hanging out with you on this Wednesday afternoon. Like I said, I'll probably reduce the amount of live streams going forwards here, just while things are kind of slow. Maybe 3 times a week instead of 5. Maybe like one Monday, Wednesday, Friday, something like that. We'll see what it ends up being, and then when things are kind of moving a little bit more, we'll keep on doing the 5 days. But that'll be it for right now. I'm gonna be signing off. I want to wish everyone well. Take care, and see you hopefully very soon.
Write it, code it, name it, tweet it, mine it, stack it, live it, dream it, post it, scan it, charge it, send it, do it, and receive it. Trade it, buy it, sell it, store it, run it, list it, first rename it. Crypto logic. Pump it, hack it, lose it, dump it, sell it, ditch it, fix or pitch it, copy, paste it, nudge it, test it, build it, try it, bend it, fork it, hype it, pump it, dump it, rinse, repeat, but quick relocate. Pause it, list it, send it, burn it, pump it, hack it, quick rename it, take it, take it, blend it, send it, swell it, sell it, flip, unflip it, see it, watch it, learn it, know it, post it, tweet it, and repeat it, chart it, long it, short it, hedge it, post prediction, quick erase it, watch it, leave it, watch it, leave it, check it, click it, and refresh it, find it, drop it, crack it, lose it, curse it, pay it, to it, pay it, bar it, chart it, hide it, fight it, deal it, seal it, and unlock it, back it, send it, change it, blend it, mine it, grind it, how it, list it, praise it, curse it, trash it, hash it, roll it, troll it, and upgrade it, take it, take it, blend it, send it, swell it, spell it, flip, unflip it, see it, watch it, learn it, know it, post it, tweet it, and repeat it, chart it, long it, short it, hedge it, post prediction, quick erase it, watch it, leave it, watch it, leave it, check it, click it, and refresh it, write it, code it, name it, read it, mine it, stack it, live it, dream it, post it, scan it, charge it, send it, do it.